Welcome back to another edition of Special Situations Investing with Greg. This week I'll be doing an update on the Petroteq tender offer from Viston AG. Check it out. Hey everyone, welcome back to another edition of my YouTube channel on Special Situations Investing and my personal investing practice. As a quick disclaimer, this video is for educational purposes only. Any companies that I mention in this presentation are discussed solely for illustrative purposes. Discussing such companies and the specifics about them is to help educate me and educate you about certain special situations. It is not a solicitation to purchase them. I recommend that you conduct your own research and identify why you might want to own the company yourself prior to your committing of any funds. I also recommend that you seek the services of a financial advisor that has considered your personal situation as your fiduciary. And then finally, may your education here grow your knowledge, improve your personal investing performance, and give you the confidence to take control of your future. Thanks a bunch for watching. Now on to the video. Well, mutant investors, this week as we celebrate in the United States the Independence Day of the United States, I just wanted to have a little bit of conversation about some updates that have been happening with the Petroteq tender offer from Viston AG. And this comes from a couple of different articles that they put out, but I thought that it's important for anyone that's participating in this or who has yet to participate and they're thinking about participating in this one to consider some of the things that are going on. And this is really just an update to it. If you want to see some of the other videos, feel free to look back at some of the previous videos that I had on Petroteq. That way you can kind of see the arc of this story. So, the biggest item and the last regulatory hurdle that we were watching was that of the CFIUS or CFIUS approval for the Petroteq Viston AG merger. Now, CFIUS, I know I talked about it in a previous video, but I think it's important to bring it back up. This is a regulatory hurdle for a company that is in the United States that is being purchased by a foreign entity or person. And in this case, Viston AG is not from the United States, and so they are purchasing the shares of Petroteq, or purchasing the company of Petroteq, and have to file this form. So the CFIUS stands for the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States, and it is chaired by the Secretary of the Treasury, along with the other secretaries of the following departments in the United States: the Department of Justice, Department of Homeland Security, the Department of Commerce, the Department of Defense, the Department of the State, and Department of Energy, as well as the Office of the Trade Representative and the Office of Science and Technology Policy in the United States. They have a role, the CFIUS board, and the role is they need to be an interagency committee authorized to review certain transactions involving foreign investment in the United States and certain real estate transactions by foreign persons in order to determine if the effect of such transactions on national security of the United States. And so really what it is these secretaries, all of these people get together and they make sure that this does not adversely affect the national defense for the United States. That's their main role. And depending on what business a company is in or what technology that company has, that usually identifies why they would or would not approve such an investment. And anyway, that's what they're doing. This is a process that usually takes about 45 days after it is acknowledged by that CFIUS committee, or this committee from CFIUS. 45 days after it's acknowledged by CFIUS. So CFIUS does have the option to add another 45 days, and then there's also a 15-day presidential approval that can be included in this. The issue is that they just don't always do that, and typically that first 45 days is enough time for them to do that. With that in mind, that 45 days does end on the 7th of July. So something to pay attention to. That's another one of the regulatory hurdles that we were paying attention to for this merger. Of note, the updated scheduled tender offer does talk about some additional things that were added and changes that were done to the tender offer going through. And I think that it's important for anyone that is investing in this to really dig into this last amended tender offer statement, because it does help you really understand. And I'll make sure that this is in the links below, and you can take a look at it. But you need to understand what's going on, and frankly, I don't know everything that's going on with this, and I don't know if I'm even able to make this determination, because one of the issues that they bring up is that there was a cease and desist order that came out from the SEC. And this cease and desist order stated that Alex Blumpkin and Petroteq cease activity that is part of what was going on with their business. And they did come to a settlement. The settlement is for $1 million to be paid over a 12-month period in 4 installments. And I think it's interesting that that's the case, but more interesting to anyone that's investing in this is you need to look at what Viston AG and how they responded to this. They stated that they now have a requirement that Petroteq and Alex Blumpkin provide any and all documents and that include any non-public information that's related to this activity. Therefore, I would say that they are probably trying to protect their investment and their potential investment and make sure that they don't have any liability that's associated with this after the transaction. Another thing that they changed is that there is now a requirement that the new CEO that takes Alex Blumpkin's spot must be approved by Viston AG. And that's pretty straightforward. They want to make sure that they approve of the person that they're going to have at the head of the organization that they are buying. I understand why they were doing that. They also identify, hey, we still are waiting for the CFIUS transaction or CFIUS approval to go through. And then finally, there is on the 21st of July a special regulatory meeting or special shareholder meeting where they are going through and they're identifying who wants to tender shares and participate in this merger transaction. Of note, in the most recent update to this, the company does state that approximately 68 of a fully diluted share basis of Petroteq has already been 68% of their shares have already been tendered in the offer. And at that rate, I would expect that they're probably going to approve of the current the opportunity to participate. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that they will, and I don't know exactly how this works particularly, but one of the things that I'm thinking about is if a share is tendered, does that mean that it's an automatic vote for Viston AG, or do those votes then revert back to the holding company that is holding those shares as part of the tender offer? And if that's the case, they probably are just going to vote directly for Viston AG because it's implied in the tendering of those shares. With that in mind, if that's the case, most likely it's going to go through, that there won't be any issues, and the share price or the shares will be tendered to Viston AG, which hopefully means that the opportunity is quickly coming to an end. You should note though that the share price does not reflect this, and the share price is down in like the 20 cents range, and the actual value of the shares, if Viston AG is able to go through, is closer to about 50 cents a share in US dollars. And if that's the case, that's like 100% return in a month. That's insane numbers to me. And that to me also reflects that there is a certain level of risk that's still involved with this. The other reason why there might be some negative share price movement is the fact that some people may have already submitted as much cash as they wanted to. Like in my case, I've only committed 5% of my portfolio to this, and they are waiting for the tender offer to go through. They're not going to commit more funds because they don't want to, or maybe they have other opportunities that they want to throw their money against. That being the case, the negative share price action over the last several months is probably more due to the fact that they are interested in, there's less interest in cash to buy the shares because of the risk that's involved on this, as opposed to that there's a bunch of sellers and people trying to get out. In any case, this tender offer is now extended off to the 22nd of July, 2022, and I'll be providing updates as they come through. Thanks a bunch for watching. Happy Independence Day to those of you that are in the United States. And if you like this and you want to subscribe or haven't already subscribed, please go ahead and do that. If you have any comments or perspectives on this that I may have missed, feel free to share them in the comments section below. I love to hear from you, and we will catch you next week. Thanks a bunch.